Welcome back to the Pokeball Podcast. I'm Evan. Matt and Michael join me again. NFL, dude, what a weekend! Four good games actually. Best one for last, Chiefs Bills. We'll touch on that in a little bit. Championship weekend set. It'll be Ravens and Chiefs, and then Lions and Niners. Let's touch on the divisional round. Ravens Texans. An absolutely dominant second half from the Ravens. It was a close game, 10-10 at half, and then Lamar was Lamar, and John Harbaugh pulled the team away. What do you think? Michael, you start. Is the Ravens just on a different tier than every team? What'd you see from them in the second half?
Yeah, I really think this is the team to beat, and I feel like we've kind of known this for a little bit now. The story of the game was both sides of the ball for the Ravens, which is always a great sign. I mean, Lamar is unreal. He's impossible to stop, and his legs and his arm, and that offense has really become a new level this year than past years. And then defensively, I mean, the Texans put up what 30 to 40 points on the Browns defense, which was considered probably the second or third best defense in the league, and the Ravens held them to 3 points if you take out the punt return. I mean, that's unreal. That's
It's
like,
absurd.
and I feel like defense really is what wins championships at this point, and especially when you have such a good offense too. It's tough to stop. So I do think the Ravens are the team to beat. And for the Texans, like, yeah, it sucks, but they were ahead of their timeline anyway, similar to the Packers. But they're those two teams kind of went further than everyone expected, and you just got to look to the future for them.
Yeah, Matt, what does the future look like for them next year? Two possible rookie of the years, and defensive side of the ball, and Stroud and Anderson. What do you think next year looks like for them? As Michael said, they're definitely ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I was really impressed by CJ Stroud this year. I mean, I'm not an avid college football fan, but from what I saw when he played Michigan or even in the college football playoff, like he was good, but he wasn't someone you'd expect to just dominate in the NFL. And I mean, I think they're going to be good next year. You never know. I feel like there's a lot of times when teams just go on runs in the playoffs and they have a fall off, but CJ Stroud was really good all year, and I think they're going to be in the playoffs for the foreseeable future.
Hopefully, it's not anything close to the Jags like last year where they fell off. But I do think Stroud's different than T-Law, and D'Amico Ryan is different than Doug Peterson. But let's go to the other AFC matchup. Bills Chiefs, a lot to unpack in that matchup. Will the Bills ever conquer Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes, what tier is he on? Is he on a different planet by himself? Michael, take it away.
I mean, it really sucks as for the Bills. I mean, that was probably their best chance to beat the Chiefs yet, and at home, like you really had them, and it sucks that it just got away from them, and obviously the missed kick at the end, but there's more than that. I think Allen and Mahomes. I feel like I always thought Mahomes was in a tier by himself, and he probably still is, but it's really close. And if he's not by himself, I think the tier one would be Allen, Mahomes, and Lamar, especially after this year. But just in terms of this game, like the Chiefs, this is probably the worst offense that Mahomes has had as the Chiefs quarterback, and I think it's gonna be really tough for a matchup for them against the Ravens, but their defense is probably the best that Mahomes has had. And Allen had a huge game, but they shut him down as much as they could and made the stops when they needed to. And like I just wish the Bills would have tried to be a little more less aggressive. On like when they had 2nd and 9, they took two deep shots. Like you
Yeah,
got
Diggs right on the crossing route.
yeah, he did, and I don't hate the decision. I mean, he had what was it, Shakir,
Yeah.
on breaking open on the post. He got his hit as he threw, so maybe if he doesn't get hit, it's a touchdown. It's a crazy play in Allen's career. But like I think you just be less aggressive with your play calling. You take more yards, and if you can't get the touchdown, you're happy with a shorter field goal. But it's not how it went.
Matt, are the Chiefs back? Is this more of
Yeah,
the Bills' loss or the give the Chiefs their props?
I give the Chiefs their props. I mean, I know Michael was on the Chiefs bandwagon the whole season. I thought they were going to be different in the playoffs this year, but I think their run game is just really like has improved on this offense. They
Mhm.
don't just need to lean on these average receivers. Pacheco's so good, like he's able to close the game for them. And about the Bills, like where has Stephon Diggs been the last 2 months?
Terrible.
Crazy. Been
I
Like
mean,
awful.
falling off, like he complains he doesn't get the ball, has an opportunity to get like a 60-yard catch that
Right through his
put them
hands.
in the 15 or 10, definitely in the red zone. just disappointing. And I'm wondering if he's going to be on the Bills next year.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that. Do we think, I mean, there's been some chatter for the past couple months, years, even so, about him wanting out, but after this, I feel like this is a perfect time if you're him.
Yeah, I mean, it's really shocking that they even were so good offensively down the stretch with Diggs' problems because I feel like the Bills' offense has always just been Allen Diggs, and if that's not open, they kind of fall apart. And Diggs was terrible, and they were still a good offense. Just praise so much praise to Josh Allen for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that throw to Diggs that he couldn't come down with was one of the craziest.
70-yard bomb.
I
Yeah,
mean,
such a good
Allen's
throw.
arm is just really different, and I think Diggs has really fallen off a cliff, and he's definitely not a top 10 receiver in my opinion anymore.
Interesting. We can do a little tier ranking wide receiver wise in a little bit, but we'll get back to I want to talk on the Josh Allen tier conversation in comparison to some other quarterbacks in a little bit. Let's go to the NFC side. Um, Niners got your pack. Matt, talk about the Niners before Michael gets to his Packers. Is Purdy can Purdy carry them or is that a CMC's offense?
No, this just really Purdy got exposed. I think part of it was probably a little bit they were probably a little bit rusty, but he did not. He looked like a guy that was like Jimmy G. Like he was thrown into a great offense. He was really struggling to throw the ball when it was wet. Like it almost seems like he couldn't figure it out at all. You see the video of him wiping his hand in the middle of the play. That was weird, but I was more impressed by the Packers, but I'll just let Michael get to it.
Yeah, I mean, really depressing loss, and it just sucks because I kind of went into this game like, oh, if we lose, like we went way further than anyone thought. Like, what a season! I'm happy regardless, and if we win, like, let's go. We're real contenders. And then we lost, and I didn't feel happy at all. I was like, wow, we blew a shot, a really good shot. I mean, we would have been maybe 3-point underdogs against the Lions. Like, we would have had a great shot at the Super Bowl. But that's just not how it went, and it's the story of all the Packers losses in the playoffs is just too many mistakes. You could point to basically 10 to 15 different plays throughout the game and say maybe if that went the Packers way, there's a different outcome. I mean, two dropped interceptions, one by Savage, one by Nixon. Obviously the missed field goal by Anders, and I don't know
Crazy.
how he's how he still had a job at that point in
Yeah.
the season. I mean, he was bad all year. It wasn't just
And
then.
Auburn. You see the
Yeah.
stats.
hmm yeah, I don't even know what I mean. I love their GM. He's made some great picks, and I think everyone sees how young and bright their future is. But that was a head scratcher for sure. And then the missed spot I thought was terrible. On Love's QB sneak. I mean,
Mm.
he in my opinion he got it. I think most people agree on that, and it just sucks that like it wasn't really a challengeable play because it was so close. But the spot was off by at least
I feel
half.
like there were a few in that
Yeah, and
game
and they
Yeah.
had
on both
another
sides of
spot.
the ball.
They had another spot where Love had a run and they missed the spot by like 2 full yards that
Yeah.
the Packers
Yeah,
were
yeah,
able
yeah.
to challenge because the spot was so bad and they succeeded, which I just really don't get. How can you not spot the ball in a divisional playoff game? I mean, it's crazy. And I don't really like the refs are the refs. There was the missed intentional grounding, like, but I can't blame it on that. The Packers had the game and they blew it. And the missed throws by Love too. Obviously, I'm a huge Jordan Love fan, but he had a 3rd and 2 easy throw to Aaron Jones that he missed. And then the first interception, Kraft was just they had a miscommunication. He threw it behind him, tipped in the air. Greenlaw picked it, and then obviously the last throw, you just got to throw that away. So the list goes on, and it was really painful to see. But yeah, I mean, they played them way tough. I thought they were going to lose by 10
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
same.
I thought in the first half they were down what 7-6 at half, and I thought they were the better team at halftime. I mean, they had 3 drives that stalled in the red zone, and they really they gave the Niners their best battle and should have won, but didn't go that way. And for the Niners, like yeah, like Matt said, Purdy was missing throws all day. But when it came down to it on the final drive, I mean, it wasn't none of the throws were like crazy good, but he did his job and he got them down the field. And I thought Brandon Ayuk was that 3rd and 5 catch was just unreal.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah.
know how he held on to that. I thought it was incomplete at first, but watching the replay, it was obviously a catch. And if he drops that, it's 4th and 5. We could win. So um, shout out Brandon Ayuk for that. I mean, Jawan Jennings too really showed up in Debo's
No,
absence.
Debo, dude. That's
Um,
impressive.
they had some crazy plays where they would just pull out a 3rd and 10. Like Purdy had some nice plays, so I don't want to just say it was all Packers and nothing the Niners did. And I think the Niners will beat the Lions.
Yeah, but when it comes to Purdy, right? Realistically, say they get by the Lions. If you're telling me you watching that game and then watching how Lamar played and then the QB battle in Buffalo, you're telling me you think I personally think there's zero chance he can beat Lamar Mahomes if he plays that way.
I think he could just because the team around him could carry
Yeah,
him. I don't think it's
I don't
unrealistic.
think so. If they're playing Baltimore, I think it's another blowout.
I don't think it's a blowout. I think Baltimore wins. I agree. I
We
don't
got a
think.
little bit. We got a little bit to get that conversation. We got two more games to
Yeah.
have that conversation.
I did tweet about that, like how one side of the
Yeah,
match
yeah.
is Mahomes versus
And
Lamar,
then
and the other
Purdy
is
and
Purdy.
Goff.
It's just crazy.
Who would have thought that 2 years ago? But let's go. I want to touch on the Packers one more time. Is this Jordan Love's gonna be remembered by that one last throw and not by the couple other beautiful throws he had? But next year, is this top what team for the Super Bowl, dude? I mean, are we
I
having
really
Super Bowl conversations or is it just fight for a playoff spot?
Yeah, so I had this debate with my brother early in the year, and I was saying that the Packers had a top 5 future in the whole NFL. This was like this was maybe 10, 12 weeks into the season, and he disagreed with me strongly. But now I think
I would too, dude.
now,
Yeah.
yeah, and but I saw what they had in all these young guys, and it really came into fruition down the stretch. And Sammy, my brother, now agrees with me. Like they really do have a bright future. But they do before I can say they're true Super Bowl contenders, like and on that level of the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Niners. They do have some changes to make. Like I still do think they need a defensive coordinator change.
Yeah,
I mean, their defense was great down the stretch and played
it
really
was.
played well in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, like there were some bad offenses they faced throughout the year that they let up huge games to, and I just think his game plan is a little too soft and not enough like I guess nuance. I don't know in today's NFL. Like you watch the Ravens defense and you're like, wow. I mean, like they are the best coach unit in the whole league. So and I think another point to that is that the Packers defense of coordinator job should be really attractive now. Like the best defensive coordinator
Yeah.
should want to come and coach for Green Bay at this point. And then obviously get rid of their kicker. That's my other
Draft,
point.
what's his face? Will Reichert at Alabama, first round
Yeah.
pick.
Or I mean, I feel like there's always free agent
Always,
you can
Yeah,
always
get.
you
hidden gems.
draft a kicker.
Of course. Let's go. Other matchup: Bucks Lions. Baker Mayfield put it all out there, dude. I mean, 300 plus yards. Jared Goff played well. Jameer Gibbs is an absolute stud. You guys know I love him. Is Let's go back to Baker. Is he franchise quarterback, Matt, or is he just a 1 year wonder?
I think he's going to be a 1 year wonder. He's been in the league for too long at this point where I think he's going to be consistent, and maybe he could turn into a Geno Smith where he's average. He's definitely better than he was in the past, but
Oh, of
I don't
course.
know. Like I think this was just kind of a fluke year, just worked out well. I still don't know if Todd Bowles is like an amazing coach. Yeah.
Mugs, what do you think? Anything?
Baker really surprised me.
He did, dude. All year long.
I mean, I really am not a big Baker Mayfield fan and never had been, but I think he really played well. But outside of the interceptions, like he really played well against a solid Lions defense, I would say. I mean, so that drive to get them down to 8 was impressive. I mean, he was just taking it down the field, like, but I don't know if he's a franchise guy. Like I still have to hold some hate for him. Just I can't just like completely flip my opinion on him.
I feel like a
He's
guy
better than
we.
Trevor Lawrence.
Ooh,
I wouldn't say that.
this year, yes.
This year, yes.
I would not say next
Hmm.
year in the future.
Yeah,
A guy we really don't talk about is Mike Evans. I mean, he's just a
really good.
flies under the radar, an absolute stud. Where is he in our wide receiver rankings? Top what?
10.
Probably top 15, top 10, yeah.
Better
Around
I
than
there.
mean,
Diggs, that's for sure. He has like the most amazing contested catches and then literally the worst drops.
it's literally half their plays are throw it up to Mike Evans in single coverage, and he comes down with it half the time. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it works out well. Let's go Lions, dude. I mean, that crowd was obviously rocking. Dan Campbell is a. I mean, Michael has his little hate for Dan Campbell for some reason. Me and Matt love him. We can get past that. But is Jared Goff going to another Super Bowl, or is he? Does it stop in San Francisco? I mean, let's just make the pick right now. I kind of proposed it there. Lions head to San Fran. What do we got, Michael?
Yeah, I'm gonna take San Fran. I mean the Lions are like a weird and hard team to beat. I feel like just they really are so aggressive in situations where most teams wouldn't be aggressive, and it makes it hard to defend because you really never know what's coming. And I feel like outside, I mean, I was saying that they're so good at like having drives to put away the game, and then they ended up punting. Um, but like I really like they ended the Packers season last year with a crazy drive where they like had some
Mhm.
trick plays and ended it, and then the week before against the Rams they put away the game with an aggressive throw on first or second and 10. But the Niners are a different beast, I think, and I thought the winner of the Packers Niners game was going to beat the Lions. I do think the Lions have a shot, but the Niners offense, I don't think Debo's going to play, but in a better non-rainy setting, I think Purdy will be much better. And I don't think the Lions defense is really that good. And then I don't know. I just don't think that Jared Goff is going to be able to pick apart a
Jared
really
Goff
deep.
versus Lamar, Super Bowl to end all of our controversy.
Yeah.
It's
Absolute
possible.
cinema.
I think it is possible, but that
It
would
is. Matt, what do you got?
I mean, that's what I want a Ravens
Of
line Super Bowl
course.
for
yeah, so do I.
entertainment purposes. I think the Niners are gonna win. Their defense is too good. And like Michael said, the weather. I mean, I'm not checking the forecast, but it probably will be better than what it was.
Yeah.
And like I just can't see them playing any worse than they did. If they don't have Debo, they'll plan for him not being there instead of being like, oh my gosh, Debo's not playing. We have to now
Mhm.
panic a little bit. And don't think Purdy will play as bad as he did because he pretty much played as bad of a game as you could get with that type of offense. And yeah, like Michael said, also I don't think the defense is good. Like it's average. They have some nice plays. I think they feed off the crowd a lot, and the fact that they're away makes all the difference. But if the
Mhm.
Lions were home, I would have taken the Lions.
Interesting. I'm gonna take the Lions, even though they're away. I do think they're just a team of destiny. I mean, I said that about I don't remember which team it was, the Texans, and dude, obviously didn't go the way I wanted it to, but um I just think the Lions are a team that Sanford really hasn't experienced this year. A team that can match their physicality, that can match them in the trenches. The no Debo is just a it's a big loss. I think if they can stop CMC, make Brock Purdy beat them, and I think they get it done. And I think Gibbs and Monty run all over them. But
Yeah, I think there is a path, definitely. I don't think the Niners' run defense is really that
it's
good.
really not. I mean, Aaron Jones had
Surprising.
100 scrimmage yards.
Aaron Jones went for a big day, and that was obviously assisted big by that 50-yard run. But
Yeah.
they did have a few runs that would break open, and the Packers' run game is very good, but the Lions' run game is on another level. So if they could feed Gibbs and Monty, I really think to take the pressure off Goff would be huge, and the Lions will have a chance. But also like the what I really noticed about the Niners defense, they're so fast. Like their linebackers are really so
Yeah.
fast. Greenlaw and Warner, I mean, that's a crazy duo. And so the Lions have to avoid like the slow developing plays and the trick plays might not be able to as easy to come by because the Niners defense reacts so quickly.
Look, I mean, if they can make Purdy beat them, like I said, I really wouldn't be surprised if the Lions get it done.
Hmm.
Um, AFC pick. While we're on picks, let's just pick it. Baltimore hosts Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes' second away game. I mean, he pretty much embraced the villain role in Buffalo. Throw ball snowed at him and all that. But Matt, what do you got for the pick?
Taking the
Yours?
Ravens. I think these inexperienced receivers will have a hard time versus defense. And I just think the defense is just better than the Chiefs offense straight up. And I think the Ravens offense is good. The only way the Chiefs can win this game, I think, is on defense. They have to stop Lamar. But if they play like they did in the first half, which was shaky, I don't know if it was nerves, it was rust. I could see the Chiefs winning. I think it'll overall be a close game, but I'm rooting for the Ravens, new team.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Baltimore. I think the Ravens are. I said this. I think they're on another level of all the remaining teams. And like the Chiefs kept it close. I mean, the Chiefs like had a really close game with Buffalo and pulled it out, but they're playing a defense on a much. I mean, the Bills were defense is not even close to the Ravens defense in my opinion. So I really think the points are going to be much harder to come by with a Chiefs offense that I said is not as good as in past years, and then um the Bills and Ravens offense probably pretty similar, but the Ravens offense is better as well. And so it's just you're playing a road team again, but a better one that you only beat by three. Like like it's just
Mhm.
all signs point towards the Ravens taking care of business in this one. But Mahomes as an underdog, I mean, you really never
I
know.
need a new body in the Super Bowl, dude. I'm kind of sick of this guy.
Yeah.
He's he's a different breed, and I was like, I ended up switching my take on the Chiefs. I liked them at first. I didn't like him in the back half, but my original reasoning for liking them was Mahomes in the playoffs. No matter who he's throwing to, whatever, like he gets it done. So, it's tough picking against him, but I just think the Ravens are by far the best team in the league.
Travis Kelce finally showed up for them, but I do think it stops in Baltimore. I think that the Baltimore matchups on the defensive side is just a match made in heaven for them. They could stop the run, and then they have the linebackers that can guard Travis Kelce. Buffalo was absolutely depleted at the linebacker position,
Yeah.
and that's why Kelce had 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I just don't see that happening again. I mean, dude, I really wouldn't put it past Mahomes. Pacheco, if they could stop Pacheco and Kelce, I think they can win. And I do think Lamar is just on a different level. I think he's in the same conversation as Mahomes, which
Mhm.
brings us to our next point of QB tiers. Let's touch on it just a little.
Yep.
Allen. All right, I'm gonna give you guys a couple names and mark them as you or level them as you please. Allen, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. Let's do Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Is Mahomes top of the mountain and everyone's looking up at him, or is it just what do you got, Michael? Talk to me.
I think the tier one, especially recently, is Allen, Mahomes, and Lamar. I think those three guys are just like the superheroes. They just can't be stopped. There's nothing you could do. Their athleticism, their arm strength. I mean, you just really can't game plan around them. They're true like generational playmakers. And then the next tier below that, I would put Herbert and Burrow. I think Herbert, I'm a huge Herbert fan, and a lot of people don't like him because he's not a winner, I guess. But in my opinion, that's just all situational based. I know anti-Herbert fans hate the hypothetical situations, but I really think that he even in a terrible situation, he's still been great. And he could be much better if his situation improved. And we all know Joe Burrow has playoff experience. He's been great in the playoffs, and also just like I mean, when he was healthy this year, he was really good. He just wasn't healthy a lot.
Yeah, Matt, what do you got? Mahomes by
We
himself?
talking from this season or just like an overall?
I think I was saying it as of right now. So take that as you please. If
Okay.
you want to touch
I
on the past week or this past year, do it as you please.
Yeah,
But
if we're
I'm
talking
saying
as
right
of
now.
right now, I'll take Lamar, Allen, and Mahomes on first tier, and then I have to judge Burrow off last season because he barely played this year, and it
Mhm.
was like a shaky offense. But then
Yeah.
tier two, I will say Burrow, and then I'm gonna put Herbert below Burrow for the exact reason Michael said. I think he's a great quarterback, but I mean the 27-0 below choke last season
He
playoffs, that
mentions that as many times as possibly can.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
it
Go
was
ahead. No, it's a
like
valid
that was
point.
literally
100%.
that was insane that
I just
happened.
don't think it was his fault.
I
That
mean, I'm
was
not going to blame it all on him, but I just don't think any of the other guys would have. I know they don't play defense, but they wouldn't have let that happen. But I think those are definitely the top guys, and I wouldn't say there's a really big difference between Burrow and Herbert. And I think this was mentioned yesterday. If Herbert was on, if Herbert was on the Ravens or even the Niners, he'd be insane.
Yeah, of course. But I think I agree with Michael. The three and then the two. But if anything, I think Josh Allen is ahead of the other two. I think if anything, he's ahead of Lamar and Mahomes. I mean, I have the stats here, right? 10 career playoff starts.
hmm
He's got 2,700 passing yards, another 600 rushing yards, 27 total touchdowns, and four total interceptions. I mean, and he's 5-5. Is that you can't put he can't put any more out there. And then if it when it comes to those five losses, it's got to be coaching and defense. So
Yep.
or matchups, or if he has Mahomes on the other sideline where he puts up 42 points in himself,
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean the big knock on Allen is obviously his
you can't
boneheaded
get by
turnovers,
Mahomes.
but and he can't get by Mahomes, but
Yeah.
in the playoffs he doesn't really have those turnovers, and he turns into a different animal. He's really elite, but I just like Mahomes and Lamar too much to agree with that.
I don't know if you've seen the breaking news that the Titans are hiring the Bengals offense coordinator as the next coach.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Thoughts?
I mean that I
I,
feel
I don't really think it means anything unless they figure out that QB position.
yeah,
I really don't.
and
But
also like like Jake Browning really like thrived. Like at first, I mean, he ended up falling off, but he
He was
thrived.
serviceable,
He was
if anything,
serviceable,
even more.
but I just don't know how much to put on the the coach or the offense coordinator versus having throwing to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins,
Yeah.
always
Yeah,
having Joe Mixon, you know.
but a
But
Kongwu.
I can't act like I know a lot about the Bengals offensive coordinator though, but sure they did the research and it's probably a solid hire. But yeah, Evan's right. They need to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, let's put a halt on NFL a little bit. It'll be
I do want to say one
uh,
thing that
yeah.
Stroud is creeping up in the
Okay, I
verbal.
like that. I was actually gonna ask that. Where do we put like a guy like him and Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I think Stroud. I don't know. I hate hating on Hurts and because I do it a lot, but I really think Hurts like he's really good, but he's not that like elite like
Mhm.
superhero player in my opinion. That all the guys we mentioned are, and I think Stroud like showed that he can carry an offense with a terrible run game to a really good playoff level and until he faced obviously an elite Baltimore defense. And the like right after that, like there's so many guys. Like I still like Dak. I still like Hurts a
Yeah,
decent.
no,
And
of course. I was just throwing out a few
I don't think
names.
Love is up there yet, but I think Love is creeping towards those top 10 quarterback conversations for sure.
Tua's below
Uh,
Love. Tua's
Tua's
below
below
Jake
literally
Browning.
everyone.
What do you say?
Tua's below everyone.
Yeah, no, it's very depressing. We don't even have to touch on that. Let's touch on some NHL. Already more than halfway through the season. Both of our teams, Islanders and Rangers, have their ups and downs. Rangers had a lot of ups, starting to fall down a little bit. Did they peak already? We touched on this a little bit. NHL regular season is an absolute roller coaster. It's a season of streaks, if you want to call it that. Touch on the Rangers. I mean, I'll touch on the Isles after. New coach, all that, but touch on the Rangers. Matt, you go first, dude.
Yeah, man.
All I could say is like I don't even know what happened. Just something just switched. I think it was either Kako's injury or Hedel has missed a lot of the season, but I don't know if that's made a big impact. But they've been one of the worst teams in the league since the last 22 games, and they actually have the worst save percentage since at post Christmas break,
Wow.
which is very surprising since Jonathan Quick was playing amazing at the beginning of the year. He was like 9-0-1 at one point. And
Hmm.
then the Rangers have a top five goalie. I mean, he's not currently playing like a top five goalie, but they had an all-time goalie from that season 3 years ago. It was just surprising. Like
Yeah,
I feel like it's a bunch of players. The Rangers are a superstar team. They don't really have many guys that have grit. I'd really say it's like Will Cooley, Barclay Goodrow, and Truba are like the gritty guys, but
mhm,
the only one of those three that's like really been producing is Will Cooley, and it just feels like it's a team of superstars that aren't playing together.
yeah,
And I know we were going to touch on the Oilers in a little bit, but I was wondering if the Rangers might have made the wrong decision hiring Laviolette, and they should have hired I don't know, I can't pronounce the last name,
Chris
Chris
Novak, maybe.
Kulinok from
Yeah,
Hartford last year. That's just what I'm questioning right
I
now.
mean, if you're saying this 3 months ago, the Oilers were one of the worst teams in the NHL, and the Rangers were at a historic pace. So it's
yeah,
it's like I just said, it's a season of streaks. Oilers are currently on a 13 game winning streak. It's
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, and that's how hockey is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really such an unpredictable sport. I don't know if the last time we talked about NHL was on one of the episodes that didn't get uploaded because like the video got messed up. But regardless of it was or not, I said that the Rangers are really hot, but I was worried about their defensive lapses and their lack of depth. And I don't want to like victory lap so much, but that's really what's been the problem in my opinion. Was I mean they just let up so many odd man rushes like every game and the lack of depth. Like they have basically two fourth lines and then their top two lines full of stars. Like the stars don't always produce. I think Mika isn't producing on nearly the same level as he's been did in past seasons. And then obviously the goaltending. I mean, I think the defensive lapses and the goaltending go hand in hand. Like who's what's fault?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
is it the goaltending? Is it the defense? I think it's both, and I mean that's why the Rangers are struggling so much. I hope they get it together and they start they get hot at the right time late in the season. They start being better in the playoffs, but I just don't think they're a true cup contender with all these issues they have.
Really?
Also, they've given up like there's so many times they just give up one goal and then let up another one like a minute later.
Mhm.
They're letting up
And
goals early. Like this is just from like a viewing standpoint. Like Igor looks depressed
yeah,
when he gives up like two goals in a minute. He just sits there, and the team just gets I don't know. Like they just lose grit once
Hmm.
they give up all these goals. And I know once again they're giving up so many early goals that they're playing down from the beginning.
Yeah. And
Are
and
they
I've seen a lot of stats on Twitter of like the percentages of games that they let in 2 goals and within a 4 minute stretch, and it's like 70% of their losses. They just let up
Yeah.
like onslaught of goals, and it's just you can't win that way.
are they are they a team that thrives? I don't watch the Rangers in my free time. I'm sure you guys know that. Um, are they a team that thrives in the lead? Is it like a team that can't really come back from behind? You guys made it from the conversation, it made it seem like you guys like emphasized the point of them getting that first goal and getting the next two, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like early in the season they had a lot of games where it's like they looked like they were down and out and came back and won. And then even last night they were down 2-0 to the Ducks. I know it's the Ducks, but they scored 5 goals in the third period. Like they've had moments where they look like a team that won't give up, but then I just think no, regardless of the score, they're a team that once they let in 1 goal, it's like they lose like all how to play and just like all they're just get so down on themselves and they just start letting up streaks of goals, and I think that's the problem. I don't know the stats of playing better from
Yeah.
ahead behind, but um
I mean, my biggest concern, like I agree with you, Michael, that Igor will probably play better in the playoffs. Like I can't see this lasting, but five
mhm,
on five scoring, I just feel like it's been a problem forever.
for a year.
Um,
Yeah.
the Rangers, I think the last 18 power plays, they're 2 for 18, and they've been really bad since the new year, and they're still the second best power play in the league, which just shows how good their
It's
power play
crazy.
was.
Yeah.
But I think they're like bottom five in 5v5 scoring, which is surprising with like Panarin, Kreider, Fox,
Yeah.
all these guys. Like that in the playoffs, you need 5v5 scoring. Like
Yeah.
they couldn't score 5v5 really versus the Devils versus a minor league goalie who's back in the minors now. Like I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah.
It, I just hope they figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see. NHL is is an interesting roller coaster ride, but as for my Isles, they fired Lane Lambert, one of the best goalies, if not the best goalie, Patrick Waugh, um, takes the helm. I mean, it's just I I couldn't tell you how excited I was. Nothing against Lane Lambert's system, but I think
A
just
lot of
uh,
Isles fans were happy about
yeah, a
it.
new voice, a new. It's the same system that Barry Trotz implemented 6 years ago,
Hmm.
5 years ago. You need a new voice because Lane Lambert was Barry's assistant. If you didn't know, um, but it's just a new the first game 2 nights ago against the Stars, absolute beauty. Lane or Patrick's was energy on the bench was just at an absolute high, nothing like I've ever seen before. He
Yeah.
said he almost lost his voice while screaming at the players, but it's just Matt Barzal was obviously happy. Um, and it just makes me think that back to 2 months ago when I mentioned the fact that they had almost 12 blown leads, or not almost, but 12 blown leads in the
Hmm.
third period or later. Some of them multi-goal games. It's just if they win half of them, are we talking about them in the same conversation as the Rangers? So it's like
Yeah.
somehow we're 2 points out of a playoff spot, lost five of our last six or something like that. So it's just if they beat Vegas, dude, I'm hopping back on the train. Um, Noah Dobson looks great. Norris candidate. Bo Horvat looks great. I mean, Sorokin's definitely an issue, but hopefully they can take some he started the last like 6 or 7 games, like I said, but he's averaging over 3 goals against. So it's just it's so un Islanders because they've been a team that lives off winning 2-1 games or 3-2 games, and it's just not happening this year. So I mean, Waz said he wants to limit the turnovers, which is 1,000% true, but um, let's look in a little bit of advance. Halfway through the year, most teams have played their 41st game or more halfway through the year. Who do we got? Lifting Lord Stanley Cup in June. Michael, you go first.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like chalk, but I'm going Boston as my favorite to win the cup, and it's just because they're just such a good all around team. I know like they had that monumental choke last year, but they're both their goalkeepers are really good. I haven't really been following Olmark's stats as much. I think Swayman's had a really good year too. But that duo is really good, and even in the playoffs, that could help with like just resting and injuries. I know the starter usually just plays every playoff game, but it is helpful to have. And then obviously there's like they have Pasta, they have Marchand. I think Marchand's had a really good year. And they're just a great all around team. They have a lot more depth than like the Rangers do, and They still have the Stars, so it's gonna be a tough team to beat. I know they, like I said, they choked in the playoffs last year, but I think they could maybe use that as motivation this year.
I'm gonna take the Knights. I know they're on a bit of a on a losing streak over the last month or so. Aiden Hill's been out. I just think the West is really wide open. I have a tough
Yeah,
decision doing this. Like I think the Avalanche could win it, or even the Oilers if Stuart Skinner plays average. But Aiden Hill, I thought it last year was a complete fluke, but he's playing really
crazy.
well this year.
It's
Like
crazy.
Yeah, doesn't
probably the
he?
best goalie
Yeah.
statistically.
Yeah, wild.
I don't know if you guys saw that Eichel suffered a lower body injury.
Yeah.
He's only out like a week or two. I thought he was possibly going to be out for the year. I was seeing reports, and yeah, I'm just going to take them.
I'm gonna take the Avs. Like Matt said, the West is wide open, dude. I mean, if those top teams can get by each other, then I think they have clear paths. But as for the Avs, Nathan McKinnon is leading the league in points. Cam Makar is the best defender in the league, and I think if they get Landeskog back, provide the experience, leadership, whatever you want to say, it's just huge. And the biggest factor, like I said last year, is goaltending. If Georgiev can hold his own, um, I don't see them not getting at least to the Western Conference Finals, but we'll definitely see what happens with that. NFL looks great. Um, Divisional round in the books, AFC, NFC Championship. We'll see who books their trip to Vegas. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.